I'm never sure when I should start talking with the music. Hello and welcome
to
Hey Mando, the podcast on the Merc with Movie Blog Podcast Network, where we talk about The Mandalorian Season 2 this time. I am one of your hosts, Shawn, and I'm joined as always by Wade. Hi, Wade.
Hey, yeah, and it just occurred to me that by this time, me running the music and stuff and the graphics, I should go over that with you and not just, sorry about that. Yeah, but hey, dude, I'm stoked to talk about nothing. No, I'm just kidding.
Wow.
There were some interesting things.
As always, Dean. Hi, Dean.
Hi, guys. Happy to be here. Pew, pew, pew.
And we have a special guest, Laura Kelly. Hi, Laura.
Hello. I think timing was perfect. I think you nailed it. No, I have no complaints.
Thank you. But yes, God, The Mandalorian, Season 2, Episode 2, Chapter 10, The Passenger, I think was the name of it.
Passenger.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes. Directed by Peyton Reed and written by Jon Favreau. Right off the bat, we'll start with you, Laura. What did you think of the episode?
Overall thoughts, I think it was, I was a little bit frustrated that it was one of the shorter ones. I was kind of hoping that we were going to be pretty consistent with the 50-ish minute time frames. Mm-hmm. I think this one topped out at 42. But that ended up kind of being fine because sort of like the last episode, we didn't move very much forward in the story. So we're kind of still stuck in really kind of the same place we started, I guess. I mean, we have some Mandalorian armor packed some way that now the spiders have, jizzed all over, I guess. We won't go full spoilers yet, but I guess that's maybe a kind of a spoiler. But they, besides that, having it, accumulated this extra set of armor, we're kind of at the same spot that we were before, and that's a little bit frustrating that we are now, what is it, 1/4 way? Is it 8 episodes every season? Yeah, we're a quarter of the way through the season and we have not moved. We're not doing much yet. But that's my sort of main frustration. Overall, I really did enjoy the episode. There's a lot of components that I liked. I am not an arachnophobe, so it was tolerable for me. But honestly, I think that thing needed a content warning, to be honest.
It was pretty intense. Yeah, I echo a lot of your thoughts. It kind of ended, and I had two thoughts when it ended. But the first thought I had was, it's done. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, sure. Dean, what did you think of the episode?
I enjoyed it. I don't know if about as much as the first episode, but for different reasons. I think the length was fine. I think, to be completely honest, the first episode there was a lot of just long, wide, slow shots, which, I get that they want to keep it in the Western, but it was quite a lot. And this one just felt really it felt brisk, but at the same time, it felt quite drawn out because the anxiety of some of the situations were really palpable. So I really enjoyed that. It was my big takeaway was the horror vibe from this episode. It's probably the closest we've gone to horror in Star Wars.
In the live action stuff,
on screen,
probably.
Yeah, on screen.
You could make an argument for Vader's scene at the end of Rogue One. I think is pretty it's pretty horror inducing. But Wade, what did you think?
Overall, it was fine. There were episodes, at least a couple episodes from season 1 that I like a lot less than this one. But for me, it was more, there were a few specific moments throughout this episode that just I really, really, really enjoyed. And most of it has to do with that damn cute baby Yoda that I hate so much, but I love. So.
Yeah, this really was Baby Yoda's episode. He got way more screen time than he did last time.
Rightfully so.
Straight from the get-go, actually, in this episode, the first line of dialogue is like, "Where's the child?" from those guys who trap him with the rope, which still works. They got speeder bikes, and that still works. That's fine, but straight away they let you know that this is going to be a Baby Yoda heavy episode, which was quite lax with in the last episode. we only got reaction shots from him, if anything.
Yeah. The big thing that I want to talk about, non-spoiler, because it kind of frustrated me a little bit. When I finished the episode at first, I wasn't super hot on it. I've seen it a second time now. I enjoyed it a lot more the second time. Now that I think I had high expectations after last episode of where the story was going to go, because last episode leaves off at a spot. And this episode doesn't really continue that. So I had very high expectations, but watching it again, I enjoyed it a lot more. The big thing that I saw, because I didn't really see a whole lot of talk about it online, that there might be something else happening that's overshadowing it. But there wasn't a whole ton of discussion that I saw online about the episode. But one thing I did see from somebody was saying like, leave it for the most boring episode of Mando to be directed by the most boring director they have with no style or whatever. And I was like, I said that I had two reactions when I finished the episode. My second reaction was when it said directed by Peyton Reed. I went, oh, that makes sense. I felt like this episode, especially on rewatch, feels so much like Ant-Man. Like,
I felt it as well. The kineticism of like the physical stuff with the action. There is that moment where he yanks the gun out to hit the two guys in the head. And a lot of
the comedy,
the timing of the comedy, definitely. I felt that all over, and I didn't know watching at first who directed it, and I was finding myself thinking, "Oh, that was a nice surprise." It totally made sense.
Yeah.
See, I didn't like the first Ant-Man movie, so when I found out it was the same director, I was like, "Okay, that makes sense for me." Just it just I don't know. There's something about that first Ant-Man movie that I was just like, blah.
Love it. Love it.
Like I said, the little moments, specific moments in this episode extremely made up for the overall, I don't know. It wasn't bad. It just was kind of, I don't know. It was filler. I know a lot of people harp on this whole filler thing and now, yes, okay, there are different levels of fillers, and we can still gain info from fillers, but damn it, this was a filler episode, period. It was.
Oh, man. No.
And
so much of the stuff we thought was filler last season turned out not to be filler. That was what made it so good.
I will say that when it comes to filler episodes in The Mandalorian, they are like they're on a very different level than the filler episodes that we got in animation. And I'm a huge fan of Star Wars animation. I love the Clone Wars and I love Rebels. And we had some pretty dull filler episodes in those.
Yeah.
So this is, the filler episodes that we get in The Mandalorian, they're so far above, I think, what we ever got. Like, we're not just focusing on droids. And like, side characters aren't brought to the forefront. Like, we're still very much focusing on Mandalorian, on Din Djarin and on the baby, but we're just not, I express this frustration already. We're just not moving very quickly, which sort of makes sense because the end objective is to get the baby back to its people. And we can't get there too quickly because we need the story, because this is the most delightful Star Wars that we can all agree on that we've gotten in a very long time. So they need to stretch this out and make it last. I think I'm guessing they're shooting for like 4 seasons or something. So, we've got a ways to go, and they got to, find a way to space it out to get us there gradually.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm the only thing I'm going to push back about what you just said. I don't accept any criticism of that droid episode from Clone Wars where they're like, because that's George Lucas's favorite episode.
Oh yeah, fair enough.
No, that
talking about recurring side characters. Amy Sedaris makes a return. I didn't think we'd be seeing her back so soon. No disrespect, but the general consensus seems to be that people don't like that character that much. I think
I like her.
I like her. Not everyone's going to be a samurai or a soldier, like you're going to get like some normal kooky, fun older ladies are hanging out. So I like that,
with crazy 80s perm hair. I'm a huge fan of Amy Sedaris, so I very much welcome any more appearances that we can get by her character, who I refuse to learn the name of. I'm just going to keep calling her Amy Sedaris.
Yeah, I have no idea what it is.
I heard it said, and it was
Amy
funny,
Sedaris.
but I can't remember what it is.
It starts
I
with a
never
P
remember
or
the name.
something. I'm like, nah, she's Amy Sedaris. It's fine.
She's fine. Like her as an actress or whatever. I mean, but just there is something that is just cartoonish and over the top about how she does that, whether it's her choice or the direction that she's getting. And, that's fine. It's, it is what it is. It ain't the worst. I'm not going to bitch about it, but I mean, come on, man. Come on, over the top. I mean, dude, there was, that's something there. And I was like, I was this close to pulling my hat off and putting my head. But then I was like, no, then everyone will see how fucking bald I'm going. I can't do that. But I wanted to. So know that I wanted to just slam my palm onto my forehead. But that's cool, man.
My biggest issue with the Amy Sedaris stuff was just like the contrivance of the plot, of how in the last episode it's like, oh, I only know one Mandalorian that you can find, and he goes off, doesn't find him, comes back, she's like, oh, I just found out about one more Mandalorian that you can go and find, and here's a dude that or frog that showed up 10 minutes ago and literally had the next plot piece ready to give to you on a platter like a video game. I didn't like that as much, but I liked the rest of the episode after.
I will say
that was the one big issue for me.
I've been bothered by how much info he's been giving her. Like, he's telling her the whole story, everything.
She could turn him out to one.
Dude, my hope at the end is the twist is she's an Imperial agent. She's just gonna
she's working for the Hutt.
She knows everything, and she can sink him like that, dude. But am I the only one that finds that odd, that he's so open and willing to just tell this person everything that he only met once?
I think he trusts
he's
her.
a parent. He's warmed.
He's a parent.
He is very trusting of her.
Heart.
But I think that one of the things maybe that motivates that is that he saw how she cared for the child and how, like, she took good care of him. He left the baby in her care and she took good care of him. She followed his instructions to not let the droids work on his ship. Allegedly, she may have without him knowing. It's fine. He'll never find out. It doesn't matter. But there's a level of trust that's been built there. I think you can say they've only met once or something, and that's fine. But I think that she's earned his trust at this point. I would hate for it to turn out that she's an Imperial agent or something.
Oh, yeah,
but at the same time, I think you don't really get Amy Sedaris and waste her. So I anticipate we're probably going to be seeing more of her. It's like Cobb Vanth. Like, you're not going to get Timothy Oliphant probably for one episode. We're probably going to see that character again at some point.
I hope so.
Because people really did like him, even if it's not this season.
He's so good.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I know that she's a polarizing character, Amy Sedaris, in The Mandalorian. But I am team pro Amy.
You think they're gonna kill her?
No, they won't kill her.
No,
I don't think she's Imperial or anything. But I think
just
to sell him out.
You don't think somebody's gonna go to her to get to Mando, and we're all gonna feel so bad about what all those things that we said about her these last.
It would make me feel bad.
Shitload of money, space bucks, or whatever you call them, space credits. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because they've got to follow the chatter. They've got to know that episode and that character is one of the least liked elements of the show, and to go back to back first two episodes of season 2 with that character, and it was pretty contrived for her to be in this one. She didn't need to be there. It was just that whole thing with the Mandalorian. Here's an alien. And away you go. But it's hard to say anything else without getting into what might be considered spoilers.
Yeah. All I'll say about Amy Sedaris' character, and I think I said this last episode as well, is I wasn't a fan of her last season. I'm not an fan of that episode at all. As a whole, I mean. I think that I think it's the direction. I think that she's not as cartoonish in these two episodes as she was. I think she's mellowed down a little bit, so that she's just on that edge now where it doesn't bother me. Whereas when I watched episode 5 last season, I was like, it did bother me a little bit. She was so over the top, but I do think
that a Filoni episode.
It was the Filoni episode.
Yeah, the second one, right?
Yeah. The gunslinger.
Yeah.
I believe so. But I think that's kind of Amy's thing. I mean, she's a character actress, so she tends to be a little bit over the top in every role that she does. And she doesn't do a lot, but when she does pop up, I think it's always kind of silly, delightful thing, at least for me, I guess. But that's character. Yeah, I think it's kind of fun, and I agree that I think they did tone it down a little bit this season, which I appreciated. I think maybe a lot of people appreciated it, but they're putting her to use in a way that I think is kind of on brand for her and for her work. So if people don't like it, that's to each their own. But it's one of those components where she's there to serve a role, and she's there to bring a little bit of something different mood, different vibe, and that's what she's doing.
Yeah. And her role brings us to a new side character that we're gonna either hate or not hate.
Let's not talk too much about this new side character. Just to top off the Amy Sedaris conversation. Definitely think we're gonna see her again. But I made the joke about the Imperial agent thing. I'm not sure if she's gonna do anything like that. I think she might just kind of. I don't know if she's gonna sell him out, Wade.
You'll take the payoff, dude. I mean, think about it, dude. Tatooine, that's a shithole. No offense, Star Wars.
You think they're gonna be like, we'll upgrade your pit droids if you just tell us? She's gonna be like, you know what?
Sell them out, dude. I think so.
Man, the 3 little pit droids have to bring her out on a coffin after she dies, and they give her a Jedi burial.
What?
Aww.
Why?
That's emotional right there.
I also don't think they need to be upgraded. I think they're perfectly good droids. They've done a good job.
Droids. I was so happy to see them. I love them. I don't think we really see them in this one, but I love those guys.
I was happy to see in this episode the droid that's holding the steak when it's getting cooked. Like, isn't that droid in A New Hope on the Jawa, or maybe it's even when they're selling? I don't know. I've seen that droid before, and I was like,
"Have you been to Galaxy's Edge?"
I haven't. I was supposed to go this summer.
That same droid is at Galaxy's Edge roasting at the Ronto Roasters on the, cool. Doing the rotisserie, I think, at Galaxy's Edge. That was something I read online. I didn't remember it I was there at Florida. That was my last trip before the pandemic began, was Florida in January at Galaxy's Edge. But yeah, I thought he was so cute. I tweeted about it earlier, like a pretty vague way, trying to not be too spoilery. He looks very much like WALL-E to me. And I find that very appealing. Just in the eyes, that's all. Yes. That's really all he is. He's just an eyes on a stick. But I thought that was really cute, and I appreciated his presence in this episode.
The droid has a name as well. I can't remember what it is, but I had the subtitles on. It's like Grilzer or
Treadwell.
Treadwell. I knew it was some silly. It was endearing. But talking about the meat,
do like that.
Can we just stay on the meat real quick 1 second? Amy Sedaris makes a reference of, I like it rare. I'm not a Rhodian or something. Yeah. And I was wondering if that was a reference to what kind of race that was, or if that tied into anything.
That's Greedo, right?
I don't know.
Rhodian? Yeah. So
I guess Greedo like chewy meat. I guess
they're reptile-ish, right? So maybe they eat raw meat.
I think she was saying don't overcook it like a Rhodian, so they must like it overcooked.
Yeah, she likes her meat medium rare, apparently. But
however they like.
I did enjoy my second rewatch a little bit more. I was kind of in the same boat, I think, as you, Shawn. And I remember watching that opening scene where we still see Mando. He's still on Tatooine. And, picks up right where we left off in the last episode. And, we see this sort of hijinks ensue where, these new characters try to stop him. I did wonder if those characters were some sort of connection to Boba Fett from the previous, in that they were trying to hunt him down in order to get the armor back to return it to Boba Fett. But that wasn't made clear. It wasn't really clear what their motivations were. But the one character that was left standing really didn't seem all that motivated to get the armor back, or I guess
No.
that was more of the motivation to get the armor back, more so than the child. I think we were supposed to think, oh, they're after the child, but then he hands over the child pretty quickly when he can get a jetpack. Like, I would think that would have, if they had a real bounty out on the child, I would think that would be more valuable, but maybe I'm wrong. I thought that was an unusual sort of thing, and I do wonder what their motivations were, what they were really after.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Either it's a story inconsistency or there's more to the motivation of the little dude.
I think he just realized he was about to die and was like, you know what? I'm not getting paid enough. This dude is way stronger than we thought he was. Take the kid. I'll take the jetpack. I'm out of here.
If you just escaped with a jetpack, wouldn't you not put it on and jetpack away?
Wouldn't have helped him.
Well, you would have thought like, hey, can I get a quick lesson really quick? Yeah. Like, how do I control this? I see you have a wrist
montage.
Can I have the wrist thing that controls it? I would, but maybe, I guess not. we didn't have time for that. It had to be 42 minutes and not a minute more.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay, let's go to break, and then because I think we're all itching to talk about spoiler stuff. So let's go to break. We're going to play the Merc with Movie Blog ads, and when we come back, we will go full spoilers on this episode.
Hi everyone, this is Sarah, host of Go Get That Rose podcast, a podcast that is dedicated to talking about all things Bachelor Nation. Join Jay Wade, a man in his 40s who is recently new to all things Bachelor Nation, and myself, someone who has been watching passionately for the past 3 years, as we review, share our thoughts on each episode of whatever show is currently on TV, whether that is Bachelor, Bachelorette, or Bachelor in Paradise. We might not even know everyone's name, but we have fun nonetheless. You can find us on Merc with a Movie Blog feed wherever you listen to podcasts.
Hey everybody, I'm Shawn. You guys might know me on this feed from co-hosting Beyond the Screen, but now here at Merc with the Movie Blog, we have started a brand new show exclusively for video games called Game Over Screen. So join me every week with my co-hosts.
Hey, how's it going? My name's Brendan.
And I'm Tyler.
As we talk about everything video game related, and when we, I guess, get to the Game Over Screen. I don't know, I don't have a good pun for that, but the joke is that we're going to die a lot in the game.
Well, you might.
Hey, Jay Wade here to tell you about SEN Afterlive, our SEN Live After Show, where we talk about, well, whatever Christian, Brett, and the rest of the crew talk about and the insanity that ensues. So join us each week here on Merc with the Movie Blog feed on your podcasting platforms, as well as YouTube now on the SEN Afterlive channel. Talk to you then.
I solemnly swear that I am up to no good. Hey guys, it's Shawn. I wanted to tell you guys about the new show I'm hosting, the Harry Potter Review Show. Every other week, I'm joined by some combination of Kaylin, Sarah, and one guest that has never read the books. We discuss one movie per episode and break down what we love about them, what we don't love about them, and the differences from the books to the movies. It's a ton of fun, and I hope you guys will tune in to check it out. Until then, mischief managed. We are back. Listen to all of those shows. They're great. Spoilers. I have to eat crow at the beginning because I said something last episode that was totally wrong. I was half right. I said we were going to start this next episode on Tatooine, that we weren't just going to jump to a new place like we had been kind of last season. I was totally wrong because I said we were going to wrap up the Boba Fett stuff in episode 2. I was like, we're going to get it done at the beginning because there's so much more Mandalorian stuff and we have to deal with possibly Ahsoka stuff. There's just so much to happen in this season. We're going to get the Boba Fett stuff out of the way and maybe he'll come back later. Didn't see the dude once in the entire episode.
No, you got to do the Amy Sedaris arc first.
I thought at the end he was the one saving them, but it just turned out to be Dave Filoni. I was like, the blasters, I was like, oh, here it is. It's Boba Fett. He's going to be like, I want my armor back or something, and I don't know. But I was like, oh, here he is. And then it's, yeah, it's the X-Wings. And I'm like, all right. it makes sense. It makes more sense than what I thought was going to happen. It tracks more logically. But was anybody else a little disappointed at the lack of Boba Fett stuff this episode? I don't know.
I was
No.
not. I don't
No.
mind any lack of Boba Fett anywhere. So.
Hang on, I'm with you.
Oh.
I don't like Boba Fett. I liked him. Like I told them last episode, the first time I really ever liked Boba Fett was that last shot of him last episode. I was like, ooh, this guy looks kind of cool. I just kind of want him to get out of the way.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to keep thinking in the back of my head, when is Boba Fett going to come back? I want to be like, all right, let's deal with Boba Fett, get him out of the way, and move on to like the Mandalorian stuff. But Wade,
Well,
I know you're a big Boba Fett fan.
Dude, the Mandalorian is Boba Fett, and the
Oh
sooner
my
you guys
God.
all realize that, the better off you'll be. Dude, yeah, this shit was awesome, dude. But we all, I think Dean did too, but I know I ended up agreeing with you that they would wrap up the Boba Fett. Hell, I remember me saying, way off, that Mandalorian would end up getting along with Boba Fett and giving him his armor back. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I was way off. But I don't know. I mean, this is one where it depends on how they end up using Boba in the series in the future. I was kind of thinking they'd maybe at least wrap him up for this season, and then maybe bring him in one more time at the end of the last episode. But I mean, I don't know. They've obviously got something in store for him. So, yes, I love Boba Fett, dude. I mean, I saw Return of the Jedi in the theater when I was like 4 or 5 years old, dude. That was the best thing of that for me, that jetpack and shit. And I was so sad and disappointed when he went into the Sarlacc pit. I thought he was dead. And it was terrible, man. It was devastating for my childhood. It's third underneath Jaws and Nightmare on Elm Street. The bathroom scene, why I won't take baths anymore. We won't even bring up Bambi making me fucking cry and ruining my entire childhood and into my adult.
Man.
But
I'm sorry.
Imagine Boba
Did
Fett
you?
taking out Bambi with that rocket.
see, okay,
That's horrifying,
that would
dude.
have been cool. But no, the point is, yes, I'm a huge Boba Fett fan. So personally, I could do with more Boba Fett, but really, this is not his show. So they need to figure something out with either to wrap him up or send him on his way on his own show. Something.
Oh,
I
I saw
like
that
him being
rumor,
spread
Wade.
out.
I'm hoping not.
I
No,
like it if they spread him out, because this isn't called The Mandalorians. You know, it's not a buddy cop
Yeah.
show. And I know that Boba Fett's
Dude,
not a
I'd watch that.
Mandalorian. Yada, yada, yada. It was fine for the one episode in, even though it wasn't him, it was Jonathan. But, it did seem a little bit too, playing with my action figures. So I don't want to see him. I like him. The reason that Boba Fett has all this legend is because we barely had a chance to see him. So let's just sprinkle him in and then pay it off, whether that be halfway through the season or at the end of the season. I assume it's going to be close to the end of the season. You don't bring in Boba Fett to anything in canon for the first time in this long just for like 2 episodes. He's probably going to be a pretty crucial part of the story, I would imagine. Sorry.
I'm not sure if I like what you're selling me, Dean, but I think a lot of people
I'm
do.
just a middleman.
I did see that rumor. I think it came out yesterday or whatever, that there's going to be a Boba Fett mini series in production, and I saw that and I was like, you just introduced Cobb Vanth. Like I'd much rather watch Cobb Vanth for like 6 episodes than Boba Fett. But I digress. That's not this episode. We talked about filler.
We talked about the egg yet.
Yes. You know what? We'll talk about the eggs. Baby Yoda, what's the morality of Baby Yoda eating the eggs of another species, like little babies? Like, is that wrong? I don't.
Oh, there were enough of them in that thing. They could spare a few.
By the end, there's like 3 left.
We got 2 burps out of Baby Yoda in this episode, and I would take more of that at the cost of the frog eggs. Just
that was
saying.
twins. That could have been the frog Luke and Leia.
Oh my gosh.
They could have
He's
saved the
talking so
galaxy
much.
from
They
the
could have
final
saved
order.
the galaxy from
The
Frog
final
Vader.
The frog
that.
Vader.
Great.
No, but it was really nice to get a lot more Baby Yoda screen time in this episode. He was very much pushed to the side in episode 1 of this season, so we got a lot more cooing and a lot more just, shots to him. We had, I think, the 2 different instances of him running, like
Yes!
scurrying over to
Yes!
Mando, which I was
Amazing.
just
And-
dying. I loved it.
And when
Yeah,
Mando
reminded me
was
of
like,
Critters.
Mando's like nap time, and then he puts him in his little hammock thing.
Hammer,
And,
yeah.
Now
Yeah,
that
it's
was, I think, the first time that we've seen the Mando, like Din Djarin, actually like go to sleep in something
Yeah.
that wasn't, his cockpit seat. So I thought that was
Yeah.
really interesting. I didn't realize that was his bed too.
I
I
love
feel like
that.
I thought that was just for Baby Yoda in his zone, but that was so cute. It was so great. I loved it so much.
With all of his armor on, like I'm
Yeah.
just gonna go to sleep like this.
Do you think he has cushions inside the helmet?
God, I hope so.
Oh,
I need to know what the antimicrobial situation is. He walked through the desert after he lost the speeder with all of his gear, with that giant thing of meat, and with the baby. And I don't understand how he walked into that bar and nobody was like, "Do you guys smell that? Like, does it smell like sweat and armor to you?"
He's got
Does
an
it smell like
antibacterial
Great Dragon
spray.
guts?
should have said something like that to a Mandalorian.
That's true. I wouldn't say it. Hey,
Very
do you
true.
smell? Don't say shit. Shut
Yep.
up.
Let it
Also,
go.
don't let it go.
Just-
Yeah, don't die over a smell.
But he must have been so hot and he didn't complain. We didn't hear him say anything. He didn't even get to Amy and be like, "Can I have something to drink?" And I'll just step
Yeah.
outside where no one
Yeah.
can see me. Like, I don't understand how he wasn't like Finn in The Force Awakens where he's like, "Water,
Yeah.
I need water."
Yeah. I really I think he's probably got an AC unit in there.
Definitely. It's like the blow up dinosaur costumes where they have the
Exactly.
air pump. Yeah. I bet it's
Exactly.
like that.
I really want to see more in Star Wars of how people live on the starships, because that's like Star Wars is really inconsistent about how long it takes us to get places. Like sometimes and I get why, but I would almost appreciate a scene in a movie sometime where they're like, all right, we're in hyperspace. It's going to take us a day. So I'm going to go to sleep. I want to see what people what living on a starship is like when you're flying somewhere. So I did really appreciate when he fucking stuffed himself in that little cubby and shut the door.
Yeah, I feel like we have more space devoted to the bathroom than he does to his own sleeping space.
privy,
Which,
do they call
by
it?
the way, yes, he called the privy, which I was like,
Is
oh,
that the
that's
first canon?
a new
name
Star Wars
time?
term. That's a new one.
So I know that the first episode of season 1 was the first time we even had a bathroom referenced, I think,
Yeah.
full stop.
I'm pretty
But now
sure.
we've
I'm
actually
pretty
got a
sure.
name for it as well.
Mhm.
In the animation, I think it's always been fresher or refresher. So that was privy was a new one. That was funny. It was one of those little details that doesn't matter, but I still I thought it was great.
Yeah. No, I loved that. I also have to eat crow. I've got to eat a lot of crow because I was really wrong about a lot of things. When we were watching the trailer, Wade, and I was like, that's Ilum. He's going to go to Ilum. It looks like Ilum. That was not Ilum. That was a random. I kind of, upon watching, had a problem with that, where it just was all really convenient of he wakes up, the X-Wings are there, and he just so happens to be at the perfect place where he can go hide. I was like, it's a little convenient that you just flew straight down into a planet when you're like the whole thing was that you wouldn't be able to get anywhere. You were just flying through empty space for a while. But on second watch, it didn't bother me. I was like, let it go, Shawn. It doesn't matter.
Well, it was kind of funny that these New Republic cops that are patrolling the rim spent
Highway cops,
clearly
I called
a lot of time trying to find the Razor Crest that crashed on whatever this unnamed planet is. I mean, they left him. We had a whole 30 minutes of story, and then they come back at the end, and it just was like, God, you guys are obsessed much? Geez.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? it makes sense. Because I just want to bring up this picture. It makes sense because we did get the return. I don't know what his character's name is. I think it's Wolf. Trapper Wolf. But we got the return of Dave Filoni as a X-Wing pilot this episode.
As soon as he spoke, I knew it was him, and I was so delighted to have him back.
It was really smart that they had the other guy talk first, and then just a little, like one quick line from Dave, so that, because I didn't notice it at first. It was like garbled enough with the effects and stuff that I was like, that voice sounds familiar. But I think that's why I don't think it's a coincidence that the same dude that like tracked the original beacon from the prison ship is the one that found Mando. I think he was looking for him. I think he was looking for the Mandalorian. I don't know why. I'm coming.
You think Trapper Wolf is going to end up being like he's going to be the big story?
He is. I think Dave Filoni is going to switch over to being an actor, and he's going to be the big bad of the.
I don't need that. I need Dave Filoni to stay on like writing Star Wars and being that person because he's so good at it, and I trust him with everything that he does. So I'm not here for Dave Filoni acting at all. I'm here for an occasional Dave Filoni cameo now and then, which I do appreciate very much.
Yes.
Going back to the
fucking Rebel show. Anyways, go ahead, Dean.
Going back to the ship flying in space, and they say that he can't fly in hyperspace. He has to go to, what do they call it, like subspace. He's like, how much canon reference is there for that, and how that travel works? I thought that was kind of weird. We're going back to like the distance and the time and the consistency with that. I was just like, so he can just float to another system. Or
I guess if it's close enough.
So they say.
I assume you couldn't do that to Coruscant from Tatooine, but like
it might take years to do that trip. But I think when they were talking about how it's just one system over or one sector over, I mean, does that take a couple weeks, a couple days? Couldn't tell you.
Does it mean you can't go hyperspace when you're pregnant? Because that was the issue. They didn't want to break the eggs. I don't know. Is there certain things you can and can't do in and out of? I don't know. It's just a weird thing that lingered on my mind, just from a.
Given the variety of reference books that we have from Star Wars, I imagine we'll get one of what to expect when you're expecting in Star Wars at some point.
I'm sure Pablo Hidalgo is working on that right now.
He's hard at work.
On that, just for you, Dean.
Concerning that, let me ask this because I can't recall. When in Revenge of the Sith, when Padme went to Mustafar, did we see her use light speed because she was pregnant?
She must have. That would have been a long trip.
So I mean, that might be you know what I mean? So
I think it mostly had to do with the way the eggs were exposed.
Yeah.
They were kind of in that container thing.
It seemed like a weird plot device.
Well, yeah, and we were talking about filler earlier. I don't think the first half of the episode is filler. The first half of the episode seemed pretty important. As soon as the ship crashed, I was like, this seems like the kind of thing you write in. Okay, well, we can't have him just get to the objective. Let's have him crash and fight a spider dude. I'm totally cool with that because the spider enemies, I don't know what they're called, but they were awesome. They looked horrifying.
I like the design with the little...
Yes.
Mouth. It was big.
But it definitely felt like we need to slow him down a bit. So let's just have something happen. Which it bothered me at first, the first time through, because again, I was like, I'm ready to keep going with the story. But upon second watch, I was like, enjoy it, Shawn. Just sit back and enjoy it.
Definitely. You get a lot of big spiders and stuff, but we've never had big Star Wars spiders.
No. Right. And all that was, oh God, it felt so Peyton Reed with like the big spiders. It reminded me of Ant-Man whenever they're like really tiny and you see the giant
and the tunnel shots and stuff. Yeah.
We did get very similar creatures in Star Wars Rebels, to the point where many people thought that they were the same creatures. As it turns out, they're not. We don't know the name of this.
They don't count.
Oh, they do for me, 100%.
Yeah. I know. So I haven't seen any of the animated
Rebels
series.
is so good. It's so good.
The great thing about Rebels now is that Well, there's only like 2 of those. The great thing about Rebels now is that people are now that people have Disney Plus and have easy access to it, there's so many new Rebels fans popping up, going through and binging the series, which I very much love and highly recommend.
Yes.
But yeah, in terms of the spiders, it was really cool design. I think they pulled this from some original Ralph McQuarrie art. Those spiders that we saw in the episode today actually looked a lot more like that than the ones in Rebels did. So that was a fun poll that we actually got to see. We can see the pieces of the puzzle and where things are coming from, which makes it's an extra added fun component for diehard fans like me and for us.
Yes. Speaking of the concept art, I love how every episode ends with the montage of the
Likewise.
art. It's so good.
May I say something real quick? I only have 2 things that I want to say about the entire cave and spider scene. I only have 2 things to say about it, which should be shocking because I've got all kinds of one, the Mandalorian didn't seem to be gentleman-like when he walks in on the female species naked in the pool. He seemed pretty comfortable with just walking up there like, hey, what's up, girl? Putting his hand in the water and shit. Okay. But the biggest thing that I enjoyed so much is, guys, we got a Star Wars, Alien, Harry Potter crossover in this episode, and it was glorious. So good.
It was Aragog. Wasn't that his name in Harry Potter, the spider, isn't it?
Oh,
It
man.
was indeed. We had Mama Spider and Daddy Spider, I think, in this episode.
I
We
was
had 2
waiting
big
for Bonnie
ones.
Myrtle to come out of that hot tub,
Now I have to have a counterpoint, Jay Wade, because we had, the Mandalorian may have been very comfortable going in, and invading her space a little bit. Hello, Joey. Nice to see you. But I have to say, she was the one who had the balls to go leave the current situation, which was pretty dangerous, actually, the fact that they'd crash landed on a ship, and go treat herself to a spa day.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
I was going to say.
This is a crisis. What are you doing?
She's left, and I'm thinking, oh, great, she's found something that's going to be really useful to the plot, or some kind of safe space or something. And then he tracked her down, and she's in a hot tub. She's not.
So bizarre.
You took your kids into a spider cave so you could have a jacuzzi.
Yeah.
One other real quick thing about that, I brought this up before we started, but did anyone else notice how, in speaking of the frog lady, that at one point he tells her straight up, I don't understand whatever language you're speaking. Then when they're at the pool, he's like, I know, it's warm. So does he not understand her, or does he understand her? No one is that quick of a learner.
I think he was just
I think it was just context clues from the situation.
Racism there.
I did notice that the second time that I watched the episode, though. It's a good point.
Because he's like, hey, frog lady.
Self-care.
He's like, hey, frog lady, I don't.
We all need that right now.
Because a slug in a hut must be similar to a frog, I guess. So he thinks that if she's a frog, she might speak Huttese.
I think Huttese is just really common. I think it's just a really common language.
Or is it because they're invertebrates and it's invertebracism? Is that what it is?
It might be. The Mandalorians have never been known to be very accepting of outsiders.
With or without spines.
I'm sorry, guys.
I'm sorry. I do not like this character. I didn't like.
Looks so cool. What do you mean? I love the design. I
don't know.
I lost it.
Okay. Again, I'm not like, this isn't a make or break thing for me, but I'm just I'm over the kitty characters, and that's all this was.
Oh no.
It was a kitty.
It was so cool, Wade.
Frog lady.
Jay.
Full of babies.
Yes.
Which okay,
about her. No responsibility. She's about herself. Nothing more mature than that.
Wade.
Hold on. I have a legit question here. Go
ahead. Yes.
How did she not get pissed off that the baby kept eating her eggs?
I don't think she noticed.
How did she
about it? Yeah, no, I don't think she noticed.
He made it a point to fix this droid so that he could understand her, so she could explain that, this is it. Their line is gone after this. She knew
By the way,
exactly
stop eating them.
there from the start.
Stop eating my kids.
Why wasn't she mad? I don't understand.
Clearly, counting is not high on her list of priorities.
No. Yeah,
you
Counting
can
was
clearly see
not a lesson that was taught.
that
No.
jar at the end is so empty compared to when you first see it at the beginning. I counted. There's like 4 left.
And she does pretty like protectively put an arm around it when Baby Yoda turns back to look at it at the end. She's like, no more, no more of my kids.
Last one, he's like, yeah, ain't nobody seen it. Oh man, that little fucker is so cute.
Can we talk about how when they took a nap, he like cuddled up next to the Mandalorian? He like got it. But I listen.
Breath away.
When they're running from the spiders and she's like, running's not enough anymore, and she starts to hop like a frog to get away. I loved it. I loved it so much. I think that the way she moves, like the anime, because it looked a little. It wasn't a puppet completely, at least you could tell looking at it.
Oh yeah, I think the same actress that played Quill, that did the actual like body work for Quill was she returned and played this character as well.
Yeah,
that's cool.
I definitely noticed.
To Frog Lady.
Yeah. Well, that's what the subtitles call her. Is Frog Lady?
Frog Lady.
Yeah,
and she speaks in frog.
Yeah, I will say that bothered me a little bit. Star Wars always bothers me a little bit whenever they like say something super real world, like when he's just like, "I don't speak frog." I'm like, you couldn't have called it like, "I don't speak froggies" or "I don't speak spider frog." Like some, you know, it's just frog. I don't know. It's not a huge deal, but
Frog is universal. Everyone has frogs. You can frog.
Language, but we can't just make up the name of a language in Star Wars. Come on.
Yeah, we can't just create a whole culture just for this one race of frogs in this one episode of Star Wars. Are you kidding me?
Yes, they can, and they will.
Yeah, I want a whole series about this frog lady. I want to know her entire life story. And she's not done. We'll see her.
I hope not, dude. I hope he drops her off and we never
off
see
screen.
Her.
No, I'm gonna go ahead and guess that we've seen in the trailer that like barge Kermit eats.
No. Kermit's from a different part of Frogland. That's not cool.
That's not cool. We did see in one of the trailers that they're on that like barge thing, so I assume that'll have to do. And I think in that trailer he's carrying the container with the eggs, because I know a lot of people were pointing at that and were like, what is that? But I think we're gonna see more of her, because like, how does she know about Mandalorian? Like
but why are we?
There's got to be more to her.
Characters, dude. We still have characters that we from last season that we know are going to appear this season. So why do we just keep adding these random characters?
I think
that was the complaint that I had about the Rise of Skywalker. I had that same thing. I'm like, there's a lot of loose ends we got to tie up. Why are we adding all these new people? Doesn't matter. Their story doesn't matter.
Yeah. Same as in The Last Jedi, they could have used Lando, but did what's her name, Holdo, instead. It's like that would have made sense to just have Lando fill that role.
Yep.
Oh God, we can't get on The Last Jedi. We won't stop. We won't stop. Wade and I will have a fist fight. Yeah. What was I gonna say? I completely lost my train of thought. Yeah, I just liked the way the Frog Lady moved. I don't know. It looked really cool. I really love the Frog Lady. I want to see more of the Frog Lady. I want to see an animated spin-off.
Well, I have a feeling that this next episode is going to pick up exactly where we left off, just like this last one did. So I have a feeling I'm hoping that we'll see the sort of conclusion of her story, but you never know with Star Wars. Like, they plant these little Easter eggs, and you never know when they're going to pick them up again. So
that's true.
Maybe we'll revisit Mando in episode 4. Maybe it won't come back until season 3. I mean, at this point, who knows? But at this point, they've put it out there, so inevitably it'll come up again.
I want to go back to that forest from episode 4. I know, Wade. I know you don't have to. The forest planet. You don't have to say it, Wade. I want to go back there. I want to see all those people again.
The Cara Dune people, is that?
I think that we will end up back there again. I have a feeling that love interest thread is going to pick up at some point again, or there's going to be some temptation there again.
I'm looking at Wade. And I loved Dr. Mandible. Also, it felt so Peyton Reed. It's literally a bug.
It looked
It's
like
literally a bug
It looked
person.
like the giant ant. I thought
I
it was.
loved him. Oh, I love. Yeah,
Is
sorry. Go ahead,
Mandible
Dean.
a new character, or is that a reference to
I
somebody?
think it's a
Is
new
that-
character.
Well,
Because I thought I recognised the name
It
Mandible.
was totally an Ant-Man. It was totally an MCU reference.
Yeah. Well,
It literally
I
looked like the same model, didn't it? The ant, the big ant
Yeah.
from the second Ant-Man movie. It looked like the same damn thing. With goggles.
I love seeing weird stuff in Star Wars. I love it when Star Wars gets kind of weird. The comics do a lot of that. What's the name of the rabbit in the comics that Kevin Scott keeps bringing back? Jaxo. I love Jaxo. So when I saw it, because an ant sitting at the bar, like this is the weirdest live action Star Wars thing we've ever seen, barring the holiday special. Like this is a weird episode, and I think that's what I appreciate about it. While I wish that it had continued the story more, I think the best comparison to make, not to continue to rag on episode 5 of last season, but I will always prefer a diversion from the plot for something very new and weird than to just revisit Tatooine and have Hey Mando sitting at the same spot that Han Solo did. Like,
Dude, holy
this is
shit, don't even get me started on that. For real. Laura, let me ask you, how the fuck do they get away with putting that Kirk off fucking impressionist in Han Solo's seat, dude? And he's sitting there like he's kicked back, like fucking kicking it like the man himself. I don't understand, dude.
I knew that would set Wade off.
Oh, what are your thoughts on that, Laura?
How do you really feel about it?
Dude, I'm toning it down for the show now, too.
Yeah,
You moan
you would
about them
think
sitting
that-
in their chair. You can't even sit in yours.
We've had some distance from it. You think you would have like let it go a little bit, but man, it's one of those things where I don't think we're not going to see that character again. There wouldn't, I think he died, didn't he? I don't remember because it didn't matter. That whole
He
episode
killed
was a
him.
total diversion that we're not going to come back to, I don't think.
No.
I do think I get a lot of I think it's very funny, like seeing people react to this character on Twitter. I really didn't hate him as much, I guess, as some people did. And there is a lot of hate out there for him, but I have enjoyed reading about it because it is very funny to me.
I don't like him, but I do love that Steel Saunders. I love that he loves Toro. I love that he loves, like, I just want to see people love Star Wars. So even if I don't like it, as long as somebody gravitates to a character and latches onto it and makes it their identity, like Veer's Watch on Twitter is great.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
I love when people really latch on to the kind of weirder characters. But yes, while this episode, I do think probably a lot of the stuff from the cave is not going to ever come back. I'm glad that it was weird and new instead of let's go ride through the desert of Tatooine for the 2000th time.
I really needed a break from those wide shots. I needed a break from those wide sunsets.
We needed a change in color palette too. We changed a different climate, a different biome, and a different setting altogether, and that was sort of a nice break. Because obviously we are going to make a return to Tatooine at some point. But this episode had a lot of.
It.
I know, right? We really can't. And honestly, I'm one of the people that always complains, like, I don't want to see any more desert planets. I'm sick of this. I get what you're trying to do. I get the point that you're trying to make with the desert setting. I'm over it. Let's do.
I've seen A New Hope.
Yeah, exactly. And I've seen The Force Awakens, and I've seen Geonosis, and I'm good. So thank you. But I did enjoy, of all the Tatooine stuff we've had to deal with, as Star Wars fans, I did enjoy episode 1 of season 2.
Yes, I loved
overall.
That was some of the better Tatooine stuff that we've had in recent, or desert stuff we've had in recent years.
Back.
You assume that we're going to
wait.
Because I didn't watch the trailer for the series, so I haven't seen any of the clips. But is it a watery planet that we're going to, presumably with the frogs? The frog
at
people.
Oh, you know what? I didn't make that connection, but I assume at some point, because it looks like he's on a ship of some sort.
And I'm pretty sure in the trailer that's where we see Sasha Banks.
Yes.
So I would guess we maybe see her next episode and figure out what she is.
I'll be curious to go back and watch the trailer and see if we can spot the frog lady somewhere, because I wouldn't have been on the lookout for it at all.
No.
And I wonder if you can see her maybe on the boat walking around in the background or something. Or, at one point we see somebody carrying...
one last egg.
There is somebody in the trailer carrying something on their back that looks like that tank. And now I wonder if that's her.
I think Mando has it at one point in the trailer as well.
Oh, really? It's definitely worth revisiting, I think.
Yeah.
But this episode, I think, brought a lot to the table. We had a reference back to Lieutenant Davin, who was played by Matt Lanter in the last season, which that was a fun little thing to see him.
Yes.
So interesting, to make a reference to him. I actually questioned it. I was like, oh, is that Matt Lanter in the last episode? And then went back and researched and found out it was. Nice to get Dave Filoni back. I think that one of my biggest complaints about the season so far is that besides Amy Sedaris, we haven't had a woman speak any lines more than one line. Like, I think there's maybe one side character that has a line or something in episode 1. And I don't count the frog lady because she's voiced by Dee Bradley Baker. So she's voiced by a man, and she doesn't speak English or anything that we can understand at any point. So I could use a little bit more female representation in this series, but that was my complaint last season as well. So it looks like we're kind of on the same road. I wish we could, expand it a little bit.
Hopefully Sasha Banks is cool.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
We don't know who she's playing officially, do we?
We do not.
Gotta be.
There's no way. There's no way. I don't understand how people are still making this argument. There's just no way.
I don't follow that stuff. I just hear the name Sabine a lot, and I think, oh, that sounds cool.
What's your take on it, Laura?
Sabine is coded as being Asian in Star Wars Rebels. Her entire family, they made the effort to cast all Asian actors to play her mom, her dad, her brother in Star Wars Rebels. I don't think they would be backtracking on that now and hire an actress that's half black to play her. I hate that sort of connotation that like people of color are just all interchangeable. I just wish that they would. I really hope that that's not what the plan is. I don't think it is. I think it would be really unusual to see Sabine wearing all black like that for whatever reason. Where Sabine is very much known for being very colorful, with her hair and with her outfits. So that's my. I'll be pretty upset and I think a lot of people would be pretty upset if that ends up being the case. It is really exciting that. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say there's not been a lot of diversity across both these first 2 episodes in this series, so I would assume that that's something that we'll see a bigger range of actors and actresses and people moving forward. I think we're going to see Carl Weathers come back as well.
Yes, and I almost question if we're going to see them in the next episode. I bet we're another episode away from that.
Yeah.
That scene that we have in the trailer of Gina Carano and Carl Weathers walking together, I think I would be surprised if we end up seeing them in the next episode, but who knows?
You might actually be right. It might be that planet from episode 5. It might be. Is that the one with the Gina Carano?
That was episode 4, Sanctuary.
Episode 4, Sanctuary. You said maybe that planet? No?
I didn't make that connection, but I would be open to going back there. I liked episode 4 of last season.
With everything going on, I almost wonder if we don't see Carl Weathers and Gina Carano again until the end of the season.
That would be interesting. Do we know what episode Carl Weathers is directing? We know he's directing.
That's a good question.
I would be willing to bet that we're going to get more Grief Karga content in that episode. Yes. I would think that Carl Weathers would probably be inclined to put his character in the episode more, but I don't. That's an assumption.
Yeah. I think it would likely be like a mid. For some reason, my gut tells me that it would make sense to have the Carl Weathers episode kind of be like a mid to late, moving into the third act kind of part of the story.
Joey brought up a good point in the comments that they did a good job casting a deaf actor as a Tusken Raider. I believe they did that in season. That was in season 1. I don't know. I don't think they brought that actor back for season 2, but I wonder if maybe they brought other deaf actors into play. I didn't actually dive too deep into IMDb to find out for sure, but
it seems to be that they carried on using the same. They kept that consistent with the sign language.
Yes.
So that was really cool to read about. And just the Shan people in general, loving those guys this season.
Yeah, it's been really interesting
been
getting to see the Sand
crazy.
People they get a little bit compassion
love
devoted
it.
to
I love
them
that.
in this show, which has been really
Yeah.
interesting to see. I
Well-
love this idea that the Mandalorian has spent enough time on Tatooine to have
Yeah.
learned the language, to have learned the sign language, and to have built a rapport with the species in the past that we've only known as being, pretty evil and to be raiders, and
Yeah.
it's definitely a different side of it, which I appreciate.
I mean, we showed the compassion, but they still got slaughtered. Big
Yes.
numbers last
Yes.
episode.
They still kidnapped Shmi and held her captive for a month. So,
Yeah.
And they still didn't lose as many as they did to this dragon.
weirdly enough, they didn't seem to care either, which is weird. They just kept picking them off, and they were just like,
yeah.
Tusken Raiders just hate dragons and Anakin. They got a picture of both, like a wanted.
I'm not a huge Anakin fan either.
You would have been if you was a Tusken Raider.
Yeah. The only information for directors I could find was that Dave Filoni is doing episode 5.
okay.
So I
They knew
would
we'd
guess.
find this out.
I would guess next episode we go to the water planet, and I don't think we're going to see Gina Carano or Carl Weathers there. Episode after that,
Likely
maybe we
around
go
there.
to I think because my thought process is maybe episode after that we either go back to the forest planet or we do something else for an episode. Then we do the Ahsoka stuff in Dave Filoni's episode, and we get Sabine and Ahsoka. And then maybe after that, we catch back up with Gina Carano, Carl Weathers, and Moff Gideon, and all of that.
Dave Filoni's doing 5.
Yeah, he's doing 5. So there's 3 episodes after that. So I kind of think maybe I don't know. Last time I tried to make a prediction, I was totally wrong. But
don't be shy. Go for it.
Maybe the back half of the season will be the actual Mandalorian stuff that I'm looking forward to so much. But yeah,
a really serious question before we wrap this up. What do you think a frog omelette tastes like?
Frog legs.
Baby Yoda's the only one who knows.
True. Baby Yoda knows.
Well,
Just
frog
mix them
legs
up in
taste
there.
like chicken. I would imagine a frog egg might be not too far cry from a chicken egg.
It's only one letter away, so it could only be one taste bud away. Find out next time on The Mandalorian.
Yeah, exactly. If only we got previews for the next episode, they would have to include that line.
I love those bits in old shows.
You bring that. I need to wrap this up, but you bring that up, and now I need to comment on it. I hate previews for next episodes.
Me too.
I don't want to watch like whenever when I watched Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., whenever it would be like next time on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I'd walk out of the room. I'd be like, no, I don't want to know what's coming next. I just want, because I love trailers for movies because it's so far away. I want some stuff, but it's like if it's like it's gonna air next week, I can wait a week. But I get that people really like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
In
their
the trailers
they
that
had to do coming next on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. because nobody would have known what was coming next otherwise on that show.
Yeah.
But I digress.
Sorry, Laura, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, the trailers that we got for Star Wars Rebels when it was airing will always have a warm place in my heart. That was like kind of what drew me to Star Wars Twitter. That interaction of everybody sees that there's a private video on Lucasfilm or on Star Wars YouTube channel. We know that it's the Star Wars Rebels preview, and so we'd all just be sitting there and waiting. And then it would get posted, and then everybody got to. Everyone would be speculating about what we were going to see, what we weren't going to see, what was going to happen, all that kind of stuff. And that was part of the fun for me, and really part of kind of building my community in the Star Wars fandom. So that'll always have a warm place in my heart. It just adds a little bit more opportunities for interaction, and positive interaction at that. So I do miss that component and wish that we got, I don't know, something. Even Star Wars Rebels did the mid-season premieres. Like if we got one for 4 through 8, because I have a feeling that a lot of the trailer content that we saw, we know now that a lot of it was from episode 1 of season 2. So I'll be curious to see where they're pulling content from. I think there was a decent amount from this episode too. Yeah. But if that's all we get, that's all we get.
Yeah. Give them the option. put the previews out there so people can watch them if they want to, and angry people like me can go.
You have to pay an extra £1 or $1 for Disney Plus, and you
it's
don't
on that
get
same
the preview.
Done.
I have to pay an extra one to not watch it.
You're the one who doesn't want it.
That's fair. You know what? Fair enough. Fair enough. Does anybody else have anything from the episode before we wrap this up?
The episode was written by Jon Favreau, directed
Yes.
by Peyton Reed, but Jon Favreau was our writer for this, which was, I don't know, an interesting component for me when I saw that. I guess he's writing most of the episodes this season, like
Yes.
maybe all but 2.
I think all,
So, yeah.
I think all but 1. I don't think Dave wrote this. Oh, he did. He did write his season or his
Okay.
episode. So
Got it.
Dave wrote his episode, and it looks like Rick Famuyiwa wrote an episode. So I would assume that's going to be the one he directs.
Oh yeah, okay, I remember hearing that.
Yeah, I'm glad to see him come back. He's just one of the best last season.
Oh, his episode, so good. But yeah, Wade, Laura, anything else about the episode?
Just one more quick thing. I have in this episode especially, I'm seeing small hints of dark tendencies that I think are going to start to come out of Baby Yoda as the show progresses.
I don't know how the show's going to juggle the morality of that, because they, cute Baby Yoda is the big draw, but if they want to make the turn of, oh, maybe he's not so cute and cuddly, I don't know how the show's going to balance that on like a kind of marketing standpoint, because if Baby Yoda starts eating, fully grown people and stuff, then you're going to lose that young audience.
Swallows somebody.
Is it weird that I'm
was-
here for that? I would watch that.
Not at all. Wait, I was really worried. As soon as you were talking about Baby Yoda, I was like, don't bring up the Palpatine thing. Don't bring up the Palpatine thing.
No, I still stand by that, dude. Totally. Totally. 100%. I think you're wrong, and I think I'm right, and I think in the end I'm going to be
what?
right.
I almost hope that you are, because that is the craziest thing you've said. Wait, why don't you really quickly, what's your theory about Baby Yoda and Palpatine?
Okay, well, the Baby Yoda, and they're looking for Baby Yoda, and the cloners are looking for Baby Yoda, and they're obviously interested in his Force ability. Given the timeline and everything, and and Palpatine returning and all that kind of shit, and all the cloning and whatnot, in my mind, obviously, at this point in time in the storyline, they're looking for Baby Yoda because they're having trouble or something like
Palpatine.
with cloning Palpatine, so they need Baby Yoda's Force or whatever. His metachlorians is what
I've
they're
thought
called.
About this. There's one reason they won't do that.
Process of Palpatine. So I stand by that 100%.
It's a great theory. Do we really think they're going to do? Then Disney are not going to do space stem cells, because that's what that is. That's Baby Yoda stem cell research. That you can't.
Slippery slope.
It's
Dude, Anakin
It's
Shawn or
slippery
the
slope
fucking
of egg.
Yoda. They can do that with Baby Yoda. Come on.
Well, so
No.
that's my counter argument too, in terms of like if they're going to take Baby Yoda to a dark side component. We've seen almost every single like light side Force user go through that
Right.
phase. So I think it makes total sense that we would see Baby Yoda go through that too at some point, to some degree,
I don't know
if we're not
it's
already seeing it.
If it's necessarily going to be dark side, or do you think it's going to be like this whole nature versus nurture? Because he's just a child. If you've had a child, they want to
That
run
is
around and just eat
curious.
things and do random things. I don't think it's necessarily going to be dark side. It's just going to be he's a baby with these powers, so it could be dangerous whether he's dark, light, or not. I don't know. It's going to be interesting how deep they get into the morality of it.
I think that's a good point, because in this episode, when the Mandalorian drops that dude from the sky, Baby Yoda looks up at him and he like snorts. Like that's what the subtitle says, that he snorts, like he's laughing at this.
Yeah, he kind of
this
smirks a
person's.
little bit.
Yeah, so like I wonder if the Mandalorian's like, and great point for choking Cara Dune last season was
Exactly.
unnerving. I wonder if the Mandalorian's ruthlessness is rubbing off on Baby Yoda in the same way that Baby Yoda's like cuteness and innocence is kind of making the Mandalorian a slightly better person, if they're affecting each other.
Character change in the end.
Yeah.
I love that
Again,
interpretation.
Yeah, I think that's great. I just don't know how deep we're going to go down those roads in an 8-episode, season of a Disney Plus show.
Well,
I mean,
Dean,
I
what's going
hope
to
so.
happen? What's going to happen is they're going to take the last season to Hulu so that they can make it more adult, and they're going to take the last season to Hulu, and it's going to end with the Mandalorian having to kill Baby Yoda to stop him from becoming powerful.
Blaster shot right to the face.
If they did that, I'd riot. I wouldn't be able to handle it.
That's one theory.
Deep bleed green?
But yes, that was chapter 2. I'm sorry, I keep bringing us longer, but there's so much to talk about with this show. I'm so excited for chapter 3. But for now, Laura, do you want to tell the folks where they can find you online?
Sure, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at shutup_Laura. The show that I host with John Roca is on his YouTube channel. It's called The Jedi Way. You can go find that playlist. And then I also host a Star Wars podcast called Force Toast, a Star Wars happy hour with my friend Alice, where we drink wine and talk about Star Wars. So go find all the links to that at Force Toast Pod on Twitter.
Wade?
Y'all can find me on Twitter, jwade1134. That's a letter J, WADE 1134. Dean and I both host an SEN live after show called SEN After Live. I'm also on a Bachelor show with Sarah, which is we're about to go live here in 20 minutes with the latest episode to talk about Claire's disastrous clusterfuck of a season. That thank God she's the fuck out of there as of last night.
Dean.
And I'm Dean. You can find me on Twitter at DeanLewis2099 or in my kitchen putting pasta in my frog egg omelette.
Oh, I can't wait.
You guys can follow me on Twitter at Shawn_AFK. I do a bunch of podcasts. They're in my bio. This show, you can find this show and others on the Merc Movie Blog podcast feed, which can be located on Anchor, Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, Radio Public, Breaker, Overcast. And you guys can also follow Merc with Movie Blog on Twitter at MovieBlogMerc. Thank you guys so much for watching, listening. We're live every Friday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, talking about the latest episode. So join us next week for that. Laura, it was awesome to have you on. Hopefully you can come back at some point, whether it's this season or next season or whatever. It was a pleasure to have you. But until next time, guys, I don't know. Should I be cheesy and be like, this is the way? Is that cheesy? I think it's cheesy.
Man, we don't want to be the only Mando show that's not saying it. Come on, guys.
That's true. You're right.
We won't be going the way.
Okay, yeah, this is the way.
This is the way. And everyone else is wrong.